NottsRockCast is an association with Regular Riot. Welcome to NottsRockCast, the Notts Alternative Scene podcast. And here is your host, Jethro D, bringing you everything Notts and rock.
Welcome, Notts Rockers, to NRC-044 over YouTube. Yes, we are getting them out now. Oh, God. It takes at least a couple of hours to get one of these things ready. But this week is an absolute amazing one from another band I'd never known before until this chat. So don't forget, hit that subscribe button and ding that bell to be notified every time we release. Right, welcome today. Here I am in the Salutation Cromwell Snug, and I've got Saints Bay with me. Is there anyone missing from your band?
Unfortunately, there is at the moment. Our guitarist was meant to be here, but he's got too much coursework to do, so he's unfortunately had to miss this a little bit. But
cool.
Yeah.
And his name is?
Rue.
Cool. Anyway, Saints Bay, come on, tell me about you. Who are you? What do you play?
Okay, well, we are a four-piece band, or at least meant to be. We formed sort of, when was it? Sort of
2017?
So, yeah, late 2017, early 2018. And we're all sort of, well, most of us are former University of Nottingham students. We met whilst at university. We're now all doing our own things all across the country, but making sure we try and get back to Nottingham as much as we possibly can to try and get some gigs in.
What do you play, sir?
I play the drums.
Cool.
So many plays the drums. I'm Dan. I sing and play guitar.
And I'm Tom, and I play the bass.
Cool. Yeah. So you actually are a band that's got a bassist.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. And a very good bassist at that.
Yeah, he could play all our instruments better than we can, but we stick him on the bass so as not to embarrass us.
Fair play. No, the last band I spoke to said don't actually have a bassist. That was Those Ones Loyal. It's kind of a common thing that you find that bands nowadays are struggling to find bassists.
Yeah, we got very lucky with Tom, I think.
It's not really an instrument that you sort of grow up dreaming to be a bassist, is it?
No. Some people do.
Yeah, I suppose some people must do, but
I did.
yeah, you play everything else as well.
Come on, tell us about
start.
Pardon?
No, so I always played double bass amongst other things. So that's sort of more my background. But yeah, I also play guitar and keys, synths, clarinet.
So you're just a musician then, aren't you?
A musician, there we go. That's nice.
Multifaceted musician.
Yeah,
He can sing as well.
Yeah.
occasionally.
Are you one of these?
When forced.
Are you one of these other people like myself that you can pick up any instrument that you've never touched before and just make a simple tune out of it?
Yeah, it's just you just sort of apply the same kind of principles to it.
Yeah.
And it will just, I don't know, it just comes quite naturally, I think.
That's good to hear. So, Saints Bay, come on. I've played one of your songs, I believe. Tell me about what you're about.
Which song did you play?
Now you're asking me. My mind.
It would have been
has
either
gone to
Everything
mush.
or Pier 39, probably one of the two.
No, I correct myself. I've played both of them.
Okay,
because you
sure.
sent me 2 tracks.
There we go.
I remember Pier 39 the other week, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's very different to a lot of, because I get a lot of metal bands wanting to get on, and it's nice to hear something very different. So, yeah.
A little bit more sort of indie rock persuasion, isn't it? Like, a bit softer. We all like all the different kinds of music, but it's definitely the three of us probably grew up listening to like pop punk, like indie, less the lighter side of rock music. So we communicate that a fair bit in our songs.
Yeah, I don't think at any point we ever sort of decided this is how we want to sound. It just sort of all came about quite spontaneously. Sort of everyone bringing sort of
it's just
their own ideas in it. Just sort of
how you.
We got quite lucky in the sense that everything just kind of did gel together quite nicely.
Yeah, we've all got sort of varying influences of our own as well, and it's just so happened that we've been able to mishmash them together, and it's turned out okay, I think.
No, that's really, really good to hear. It's not an easy thing starting a band, is it?
No. No.
See, it's easy to say I'm in a band, but actually getting the nitty gritty down.
Yeah.
Yeah, but all you have to do these days is record one song for like 10 seconds, stick it on Spotify, and there you go, you're in a band.
Yeah.
It's love it, hate it. That's kind of the state of play. I do like to ask people when they come on this podcast, could you give a quote of inspiration? Something that you guys would say to each other to cheer yourselves on to stage? I love doing this because you all look so...
No, it's all right. Because we were looking through the question earlier and we're trying to think, what could we say? The best we could come up with was... what am I going to say?
Shall I say it?
Go on, go for it.
I'll take credit.
Go on.
Don't go home with a girl just because she bought you a chicken select at Mackey's. We understand that doesn't quite...
No, I like
doesn't
that.
quite
It's
fit.
a bit of a complex message.
It has meaning, but it also unfortunately has literal meaning.
It does translate quite well into the world of music, but you just have to think about that.
No, I guess.
Drink a glass of water before you go on.
Yeah.
It's always helpful. G's me up.
Just don't F it up.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. Definitely.
Essentially.
It's amazing when I ask that question because everybody looks at it and they're like, wow, okay, now it's actually come to it. Should I, shouldn't I? But I like that. I haven't had something as unique as that yet. Because people will give like a proper quote of inspiration, but don't go home with a girl because
she bought you chicken selects.
yeah.
Wow, at Mackie D's.
Good advice.
Yeah, it is good advice.
To be honest, I probably would.
I mean, chicken selects are great. So
I'm married now, but I can't. But back in the day, if I ever met a girl that bought me anything, I'd probably marry her. But
It would have to be at least like a 20 box of chicken nuggets for marriage.
yeah, I suppose. Yeah,
That's a hefty dowry, really.
They're
20.
premium dish, so.
chicken select is just she can
it's like
stay in the bed.
Yeah, the evolved form of the chicken nugget.
There's an argument both ways, there is.
Yeah. Cool. So, are you guys originally from Notts yourselves?
No.
No, so as I said, we all went to University of Nottingham.
Yes.
But I'm originally from Essex, Dan's originally from Essex, Tom's originally from London, and Rue, our guitarist, is originally from Somerset.
Oh.
Yeah, we've all sort of combined in the middle to...
So, which universities did you go to?
all University of Nottingham.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Oh, cool.
and that's how we met up.
So, are you now here in Nottingham full time, or are you just coming back for gigs?
I live in Derby now.
Oh, you live in Derby?
Yeah, I've defected.
Cool.
But yeah, I do like Nottingham a lot. I wanted to stay in the Midlands after I graduated, so
Yeah.
got a job there. No, I live actually not in Derby, in Belper, which is like next to Derby.
Yeah, I know Belper. It's close. I'm trying to think.
It's like Peak District. Kind of.
Yeah, Peak District and like Ripley and all that area.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's nice to get back in the big city every now and then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yourselves?
So yeah, I'm sort of working in Essex now. Commuting from home basically to save a little bit on the rent.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, same kind of thing as Dan. Want to get back up here as much as I possibly can. So yeah, that's my story. I guess.
No, yeah, same again. Back home, London, but sound like a broken record. It is nice to. So this is the first time I've been back in Nottingham since sort of going home after graduating.
Yeah.
And it's sort of all like it's all very emotional.
It's a little bit like you never left in a way.
Yeah.
I found.
Rue still lives in Notts.
Yeah, he's still studying here. So
Yeah. No, I like that because I originally came from down south and I moved up in 2009 and I've never wanted to leave. Really haven't. Like whole life down south just kind of fell apart and then came up here and saw a different side of life. And I'm progressively from 2009 up until 2019 have progressively got closer to the city centre. So
I think you can't really want for anything in Nottingham. Unless you like the seaside, which is actually a bit fucked, but everything else.
we have a beach every summer.
Yeah, every now and then they put like a little makeup beach in the
That's true.
Market Square, don't they?
That is true. So yeah, I retract that statement.
It's got everything.
So what's it like going to university? I wasn't a university person myself, but what's some of the trials and tribulations that you enjoyed?
The overdraft is a big one.
Oh, right.
You know,
You can get them without being at uni, though.
Yeah, I know, but
Yeah,
just like,
trust
yeah.
me.
I think it's just suddenly having a load of time on your hands, and it's different depending on courses, whatever, but especially because Dan and I both did humanities courses, you are sort of left with a lot of time and responsibility to do things yourself. It's a bit of a learning experience of how to kind of.
It's good fun though. You can basically, it's double-edged. Like you can do whatever you want, which can sometimes be good and can sometimes be bad.
Yeah.
But
sorry, let me just move that very slowly so it just captures you a little bit more, because he's loud, you're not.
yeah, he's the drummer, to be fair.
Yeah.
So he never gets to talk.
He never gets to talk, but he managed to be the loudest all the time. University is just a lot of fun, but you have to, I guess, think about, what I'm doing absolutely nothing for a whole week. What exactly am I going to do to fill the time? Which is why it's quite nice to be in a band, because you can do rehearsals and write songs and stuff.
Yeah.
So I would recommend it anyway. Although you'll be in debt for your whole life.
Yeah. Have you been to any other universities other than Nottingham? Any of you?
To visit.
Oh, just to visit.
Yeah, literally just visit. Like.
No, I know some people go to one university and then move on to another, and I was just wondering if you had a comparison, but
No, not really.
And how is the university nights out? That's something I've never talked about on this podcast.
Well,
we talked about seeing people walk past the window and dressed up in, I don't know, street cones and stuff.
I think messy probably.
Yeah, I think one of the things that Nottingham is good for, on both just a student night out and just any night out in general, is that there is a lot of variety in what you can do. There's a lot of different things that like you can go to depending on what you're fancying for that night or what is particularly suited to you. So I think from that front we're a bit spoiled for choice, really.
Yeah.
But essentially, whatever you, as a local of Nottingham who's not a student, the worst possible things you can assume about student nights out are probably correct. It's just there's not a lot of good. You're not going to walk into a club on a student night and be like, yes, this is a objectively good club experience. You have fun because you're with your mates and because you're obviously getting very drunk, but there's
Ocean on a Friday. He's probably the best example of that.
I haven't even been to university, and I've still gone out on some nights out and ended up in the QMC. Not for me personally, but I've been there supporting people. So I can imagine some of the great things about it. So now that you're not in university and now that you're back in your home places, what do you do outside the band?
Ooh, good question.
Have you gone into work to do something else?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Dan and I are now full-time working. I'm working sort of in a local hospital to me, and I've certainly found that you've not got that free time that you did at uni, and doing the old 9 to 5 every day. It's certainly like although I've gotten used to it now, it's still, looking back, is a big step from where I was before.
Yeah.
Yeah, I work at PR firm. So I write a lot of tweets and press releases and stuff. So it's kind of a semi-creative outlet, but
you can get you start doing
I
more
prefer writing songs. Yes, to be fair, Sam does all the press for us. So
I do.
As you know, he's the one that contacts you.
I'm the one that sends all the emails to every single person I can possibly find.
De facto manager.
But that's the way to do it.
Yeah, you got to be badgering.
Yeah, I'm a good nagger. To these guys' detriment, I'm sure.
You nag
You keep us all in check. You get us to rehearsals, get us to gigs. You get the gigs sorted for us.
That is true. Yeah.
We don't really have to do much in terms of organising things, and we just have to say, yes, I can do that. No, I can't do that. Or can you do this
as long as you're happy with the arrangement.
Yeah, that's we've sort of fallen into this.
It's like our band's got a mum.
Yeah.
I'll take that. I guess here's another inspirational quote for you, though. If you want something done right, do it yourself. And so
fair play.
I want it done this way, so I'm just going to go for it. Obviously, if you guys wanted to change it, then I'm happy to. But if you're all right with me doing all the work, then...
On saying that though, I spoke to one of the promoters in this city, and we had a chat about social media and doing what we do. Now, I would love someone to take over the admin, but because of the 2 rules that I've got, no Brexit, no politics, it's hard to find someone that can take over my admin. But I'm willing to give access to the social media accounts because I don't want them to have a bad day and suddenly start spouting off about something.
Yeah.
It's like you said, if you want something done right, you've got to do it yourself. And that's kind of what I have to do with this podcast. I do everything. There's not something I don't do other than introduce the podcast and introduce the news.
Yeah, and I'm always very wary of sort of handing like control of anything over to anyone, even sort of outside of music if it's a project or something. Like, I think, you've always got to make sure that you're delegating to the right people.
Yeah.
I think with anything.
It's a nice thing about music and the internet and stuff these days. Whether you're making a band or whether you're making a podcast, you pretty much can just do it yourself.
Yeah.
You've got the expertise, and it's all there on your laptop, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I know I've got my mobile recorder, so like literally I can point them 2 mics and leave the mobile recorder going and then just meld them together at the end, I think is probably the best thing. Because I was wondering how to record 4 people in a room. And usually I've just got something in my hand and I'm like, I don't really want to be holding something when I could be holding a drink. And to be honest, I've done really well today. I had a little bit of a setback of doing a couple of interviews that I wasn't happy with because I had a couple of drinks, and I've got to the point now where I'm going, actually, I don't need to drink. And I've sat here from 12 o'clock today in the old salutation and only had what now is 3/4 of a pint. So I think I'm doing well in almost 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
That is incredible restraint.
I'm trying, I really am.
For us, we tend to find that slightly less than 2 pints in the old Mitchell and Webb look way of doing things is the optimum amount.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have to be.
Once it gets past the 2 pints mark, then you're looking for trouble.
We have a very careful system pre-gig of how much we can be drinking. Otherwise,
Yes.
Gigs can take an interesting turn.
Yeah.
Not enough, and you don't give your rock star image.
There's sort of a nice,
not
There's
too
again,
much.
exactly. Slightly less than 2 drinks is the optimum amount, I think.
Yeah, if you're doing something hard like drumming, but I'm a guitar, so I give myself a bit more of a license, and I have to talk to people as well.
So, with your band, I know we've touched on it slightly. Do you want to delve in a little more to how you got started?
Yeah, sure. So it started back in November of 2017. I was in a band and was doing covers, trying to do a couple of originals, but it just really wasn't going anywhere. So for our university, we have what's called BandSoc, which is basically a place where if you want to form a band, you can write a post on their Facebook wall or something like that, and try and find someone. So I found a guy called Pete who was looking to do something which was around about what I was trying to do. And then, so I got chatting to him, and then Rue, our guitarist, who isn't here, I knew him through because we both did University Radio Nottingham. So I knew him anyway, knew that he plays guitar, thought, okay, I'll give him a buzz, see what he's doing. Then Rue knew Tom, which is how that got going, and then we started writing a couple of songs together. Pier 39 was in its early stages at the time, and
which I played the other week.
Yes.
I thoroughly enjoyed that, to be honest, even though I couldn't remember the name. It's going to eat more fish.
Yeah. So, but then a few months went by. Things were starting to pick up a little bit, but then unfortunately, Pete told us that he couldn't be in the band anymore because he was going on a year abroad.
All right.
And at that point, I was like, who do I know that's a good singer and a good front man? Then I remembered I went to school with Dan, and he was awesome. So I gave him a message, and thus the Saints Bay that you see before us was born.
Cool.
Yeah, that's basically it.
That's basically it.
Yeah.
You sing, and you're the quietest amongst us today.
Yeah, well, I'm furthest away from the microphone.
Don't worry, I've got what's called a levelling amplifier. That'll bring you up in it.
He's got to save his voice for later.
Yeah. So you're playing tonight. Do you want to tell us where you're playing, who you're playing with, and who's the promoter?
Yes. Oh, do you want to?
That's what I
Go on.
Go for it.
We're playing at Albert's, which is what Spanky Van Dyke's used to be. It's right by Rock City. At gig starts at like 7 o'clock, is it?
Yeah, about then.
Doors open. I mean, this is going to be in the past by the time the podcast comes out, isn't it?
Yeah, it will be, but it's still interesting to hear.
But so we're playing. It's actually a band called THC Dreams, who I think are from. Well, they're not from Nottingham. They're touring, and I played with them before at the Chameleon Arts Cafe. So it's them, THC Dreams,
Blighttown, Punch Drunk, and Puppet Paranoia, the other 3 bands on the bill.
So yeah, we'll be on at 9:30. So a headline slot that we weren't anticipating. Yeah, it should be fun.
They've put you in a headlining slot.
Yeah.
Even though it's their own gig.
I know, yeah. So what happened was THC Dreams, I think, weren't having the number of tickets they've been able to sell. And so they thought it might be better to sort of, in bringing more people, if one of the local artists played instead. It was very generous of them to put it out there, I think. And so, yeah, so...
Did they know you don't live in Nottingham no more?
We built ourselves in Nottingham.
Thankfully, we still know people based in Nottingham.
We'd still say
I thought I'd make the cheekies.
No, we still like to think of Nottingham as our
It's our home base.
Yeah, we might not live there, but Saints Bay lives in Nottingham.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah. So yeah, and then I lost my train of thought a little bit there.
That's fine. I do want to ask, where did you get the idea of the name?
So here we go.
He's been waiting for this. My time has come.
It was back in the time of our old singer Pete. We were trying to think up of a name. I think we somehow got it into our heads that we wanted the word saint in there somewhere.
Yeah.
And then I think he said that he went to holiday a few times at St. Brolude's Bay in Jersey or Guernsey or one of those places.
Yeah.
And then we basically got rid of the Brolude bit, and then thus Saints Bay was born.
Cool. That's interesting.
Yeah.
It's funny how names come to being.
It's impossible thinking of a name, isn't it?
In the back of the corner.
Well, even my solo stuff that I did, and my now studio is named after. Well, not my studio, but me personally, is called Regular Riot. That I'm in association that associates with the podcast. But it came off the back of me dating someone, and she flippantly turned around and went, "You're really a regular riot, aren't you?" Yeah, cool. But I like that, and I'm going to use that at some point. And then when I started my solo project, I used it.
Yeah, I think it's always a very serendipitous thing when a band name comes along. I know, right?
Nice
I know.
Define serendipitous.
Happy accident. There we go. I learned that from Miss Wiltshire back in Kegs.
That's good. Yeah, regular. It sounds like a withering put down. At the time,
Pretty much.
but it actually is a very cool phrase.
Yeah. Well, it kind of sums me up anyway, because I'm a really regular chap, but I can be an absolute riot.
There you go.
So yeah, I'm quite happy.
You took the power from that insult and you brought it to yourself. So well done.
Exactly.
We just went on holiday.
he went on holiday. It's sort of something like that where Pier 39 came from as well, because that's named after the pier in San Francisco named Pier 39. That was another one where Pete went there on holiday.
Yeah.
And
so the story of the song is very heartfelt. This person had a holiday romance, and then things went sour, and then he can't go to the Pier 39 again without thinking of this girl, and he gets really sad. And when I joined the band, I was like, well, this sounds like quite a personal song. I said, do you want to still play it? Because obviously it meant something to the last person who wrote it. And they were like, no, he just made it all up. It's just from him going on holiday.
Wow. I struggled for a little while going in the tap and tumbler because of that sort of scenario, but now they try and keep me out of it. Okay, what compelled you all to be into the alternative scene?
It's a bit more interesting, isn't it, than the regular scene? I think it's always been that kind of music's always been quite big within my family. My dad was a big sort of Led Zeppelin fan.
Yeah.
Deep Purple, also into folk music. So I've always been sort of looking for different kinds of music that are a bit more a bit more interesting than the regular kind of stuff. And it's good fun. It's fun to play.
Cool. Yourself?
I mean, I know a lot of people say it, but I'm quite happy playing almost anything.
Yeah.
But in a not to I'm going to express this horribly. Should you come back to me? I've not got the words to vocalise this right now.
So yeah, sort of similar to Dan, my family was always sort of very big on the art music culture. My dad was in like loads of bands when he was younger. He's played guitar, he's played drums, played bass, the whole shebang. He was quite big on like mod culture as well. So that was always quite a big thing. And yeah, just sort of as I was growing up, I was always sort of having music all around me, and then I think just sort of things blossomed from there.
Yeah.
I should also clarify, because I know my parents will probably listen to this. My mum was also into alternative music.
Cool.
She has a very good taste in music. I don't want her to listen to this and be like, I've got a good taste in music as well.
So he's the mummy's boy then.
Got an answer. I think, especially with sort of learning instruments, you do sort of tend to gravitate more towards of the alternative genres, because that is sort of where the more interesting stuff is, especially to learn.
Yeah.
As in sort of your average top 40 hit isn't going to be that interesting to learn. You're not going to necessarily learn anything from actually learning it. So I think a lot of it for me. So my bass teacher would always. So each week he would come along and it'd be like a completely different genre. So we'd be doing like Stevie Wonder one week, Metallica the next week, kind of thing, and just to keep it moving. And it's more about appreciating kind of the ability and sort of what's gone into it, more so than you don't necessarily have to love the song all the time, but you can appreciate where someone's come from with it.
I get exactly what you're meaning right there. Because a lot of people will say a band is shit, or they'll say a song is shit, and it's not that they actually believe the song is shit. It's either they don't understand it, or their friend has told them it is. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
And I think that's where it's coming from. If you broaden your mind and listen to music for what music is, and I've said it before on this podcast that I've listened to every piece of music I've been sent and I've played on the podcast, I've listened to off the bat. I haven't even pre-listened to it. All I've done is stuck it in, listened to it, and hit record right at the end, and then given my honest opinion. And I feel like I should be more technical knowing the studio side of it, or I should be more knowing the music, the influential side of it, but I'm not. I just give my honest to God straight up opinion.
I think the beauty of music is it's such a subjective medium. You like whatever your opinion is, it's not wrong. Like you can think that a song is kind of shit, but if that's your opinion, that's due to what your tastes are. And as long as you can understand that other people might enjoy that kind of thing, and you're not trying to put it down to loads of people. Then I think that's fair. And again, the subjectivity of music, I think, is one of the things that makes it beautiful.
There are
more influential phrases.
Cool. There's not many songs that you can't get any form of enjoyment whatsoever from. Apart from like rock maybe.
Right, is there any special mentions about yourselves or something interesting that people probably don't know, like a stamp collecting hobby or something?
I play the bassoon.
The bassoon?
Bassoon, yeah.
Cool. How long have you been playing that?
Well, I started learning when I was at school because it's got a funny name. And I don't really play it too much these days, but I like to think I can still pick one up if there's one lying around,
We're determined to get it in a record at some point.
Yeah, cool. That'd be interesting.
It's quite a fun instrument to play. I don't know if it sounds that good, but I enjoy it anyway.
Well, it comes up in a lot of orchestras, so it must be a good instrument to have.
Yeah, the Apprentice theme tune. It's played on the bassoon, I think.
I never knew that.
Yeah, well, there you go. It's an exclusive for the listeners.
And yourselves, anything?
I don't know. Like I've got my, obviously the radio history with Rue as well. So doing that quite a bit.
And you did that for the University of Nottingham?
Yeah. So I was part of it for 4 years, presenting a show on sort of local up-and-coming artists. Basically our version of BBC Introducing is what I was for 4 whole years. So I became that annoying guy that knew all the bands that you don't know.
Wow.
So yeah.
I wish I knew more about the bands I play. Sometimes I'm a bit like, wow, how how have I listened to all this music and still stood there going, I don't really know. If you asked me a question about who was playing on the 13th podcast, I couldn't tell you.
I think, there are so many artists, so many good artists that you've got, especially in Nottingham, because the music scene here is very good. I think, you're going to lose track a little bit, I think. But yeah, it's... I
lose track of what I'm doing in the morning sometimes. I have to make sure my wife stays asleep whilst I'm getting ready to go to work, or else I forget to take my sandwiches. But that's just me, so... Is there anything... Don't have to, can do, don't have to?
Just make some
contradicting the band we're in entirely, I'm just a massive synthesizer nerd on the side.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Have you got many synthesizers?
Not enough. not as many.
Are we talking like keyboard,
mixture of keys and sort of smaller
modules,
units,
like a Euro rack and stuff like that?
I wish I had some Euro rack.
And
modules,
what, a load of patch leads? And...
Yeah, Euro rack's a slippery slope though, because that's expensive. As in, I've looked sort of even just like starter kits for it. It's pretty absurd, really.
Yeah.
It's just to make a load of beep boop noises at the end of the day, really.
Stick a sine wave in, and when it comes out, it sounds like a full orchestra or something. And it's a slippery slope, especially like I can tell you that from having a studio. I've got equipment falling out my ears, but I spend so much time on eBay marketplaces and stuff like that. I pick up a lot of cheap things for a lot of it's good buck.
It's quite easy to get lost just sort of looking at loads of second-hand crap that you don't really need, but you think, ooh, that looks interesting. I wonder what that thing does.
There's going to be this.
It's like buying pedals, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've never completed your collection of pedals, have you?
No,
I can't.
It's just I've got all these 50, but there's one over there. It's just
you've got 50.
I don't know.
that room I do.
I'm a bit of a
You're pedalless.
simplistic person in terms of my guitar. I know the pitfalls of collecting pedals.
Yeah.
Both the lead guitarists that I've been in bands with have been very into buying new pedals, like changing their layout every gig and stuff.
We've then got to lug a massive pedal board around with you the whole time.
Yeah, just a big bit of plywood.
Pain in the arse.
It doesn't matter what instrument you play. There's always that. I wouldn't call it a pitfall, but there's always that addictive nature to your instrument. The drummer that I spoke to in the last band, he's got 13 cymbals.
13, cool.
13 cymbals. I was like, what? And he went, yeah, I'll put them all on stage. And I'm like, what?
There's a lot of stages around Nottingham that's 13 cymbals would not fit in.
Yeah.
Well, 13 cymbals and anyone else. Is it just him?
No, it's a 4-piece band, I think.
Right.
So, it was a 4. Wow.
Yeah.
But it's expression, isn't it?
Yeah.
And some people either fall into the category of they'll buy it because they're looking for another sound, or some people will buy it because they think it'll make them better. But no matter what I can buy for my studio, it ain't going to make me a better studio engineer or a better podcaster or this, that and the other. Even the mics we've got here at the moment, they're like 24 quid each, but they sound great. So, well, hope they do.
It's just if it's your passion, isn't it? You don't really do it. It's not a logical thing for why you do it. You do it because it's what you want to spend your money on, I guess.
Well, exactly. It stops me from buying drugs.
Yeah.
Right, I'm going to ask you the last question, and I'm going to take a quick break. But what hurdles have you personally faced in your band, and how did you overcome them?
I mean, there's the obvious, having the singer leave.
Yeah.
The original singer
that
leave.
was one that we were like. I find that we were very lucky that we were able to bring Dan on.
How did you overcome that?
We asked you if you wanted to join the band.
They just got a new one.
Yeah.
10 a penny singers, everyone wants to do it.
Okay, because you're so far apart at the moment, how do you overcome that being in a band?
That has been a little bit of a struggle lately. I think we haven't properly experienced it, like the struggles of it yet, because we've only just started being separate from each other, if that makes sense.
So it's like a new long
distance relationship.
Yeah, that's the one.
It has been a little bit hard in trying to organise gigs on specific dates. I think we haven't had any issues with this yet, but I can see it happening where like last year when we were all based in Nottingham, if someone had said to us, do you want to play this gig next week? We could pretty much do it. Whereas now it's a case of, we have to book time off work, we have to make sure we can get trains, and it's a much more complicated process to make sure they're actually able to do anything. So we can't really just do a gig like the next day or anything anymore. We have to plan things out a little bit more, which is a bit of a pain, but it's it's just the way things
And
are.
how do you communicate the most in the band? Is it through WhatsApp or email?
Facebook.
Facebook.
Yeah, it's much easier now than it would have been 5 years ago to do it.
Sending carrier
Yeah,
pictures.
exactly. Like smoke signals from Nottingham to Essex are difficult to send.
I think that's really cool. I'm glad you're all coming together and making sure it works, because distance can kill a band.
Yeah, I think because we had a year of properly playing together live, and I think we just all loved it so much. We've got to keep trying to make this work. Got to keep seeing this through. Everything we can to keep going, even if it means we only do meet up 4 or 5 times a year for gigs. Then still we're doing something, and I think we're also all determined to still be writing new stuff, meeting up every now and then to properly write new music, get it out there on your Spotifys and your Tidals and your Deezers and all the other random ones that distributors send it to, and just keep this whole thing going. And what? Sorry,
Pixo.
Yeah.
That was Pixo.
Songs on Pixo.
What?
Okay.
Okay, new one.
Redact that.
Is that like Grindr? I put this podcast in many places possible, and there's still something that I probably haven't put it on.
There's loads about.
Cool.
But yeah, it would be harder because we've basically got at the moment pretty much well-drilled 30-minute set of our songs that we can just dust off, and we've had one rehearsal before this gig, and fingers crossed it's probably going to be all right.
Cool.
So we can just sort of get back into the rhythm quite quickly.
Yeah, we sort of laid the groundwork quite nicely over, because we didn't start gigging for quite a while, I think.
Yeah, I think it was.
Well, we had full term of rehearsals.
Yeah,
And summer holidays,
so when we
and then
initially
we had our
formed
first
was
gig.
November.
It was like April.
Yeah, you came along in April, and then we only started gigging in September of 2018.
Yeah, proper gone off topic from the question.
That's all right.
No, that's brilliant. That's what this podcast is about, and I really do enjoy taking a sidestep and catching more
hurdles.
information.
Yeah.
So, right, anyway, let's go and have a break. Let's go recoup and get into the second section, which is Knots and Rock.
Go.
Right, welcome back. We're in the second half, which is Knots and Rock. Here in the Salutation in the Cromwell Snug with Saints Bay. Well, 3 members of Saints Bay. So, what do you guys love and enjoy about Nottingham itself? Not so much the alternative scene.
There's a lot of activities you can do, no matter what you fancy, and no matter what time of day.
Yeah.
So, a lot of good pubs, a lot of good bars, just lots of different vibes, and it's not that big either.
Yeah, it's all quite condensed, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's in everything's sort of walking distance.
It's not like
really.
that massive city feel that you get with your Manchesters or your Birmingham. It's it's that Goldilocks zone of just right for what you want from a city, I think.
Yeah.
And there's both of the music scene and Nottingham in general. There's so much variety, as Dan said, with anything that you want to do. So I think it's very advantageous on that front.
Everyone's very nice as well.
Yeah, I found that as well. Like I said, when I moved up from down south, I'm well happy living here. I know we do have, obviously, the bad parts that happen, but they're very small compared to everything nice that happens in this city. Yeah. And, of course, tabloids are only interested in what makes news.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I'm doing this podcast and being a... What's the word? Champion?
Yeah, let's go champion.
Ambassador.
Would you like a Ferrero Rocher? or have I just lost you on that?
Always laughing politely.
It's Anyway, the old adverts went. Cool. Right. Would you like to tell us a story or myth about Nottingham or something locally interesting you learnt whilst at uni?
We were brainstorming this actually in the rehearsal before, and it came up pretty blank. But see if
I think one thing that I'd always heard from home is like a quote unquote stereotype for Nottingham is like, you know, way more females than males here. Like, you know, you got your 6-to-1s and your 8-to-1 ratios and your 10. And, you know, whenever I say, I went to uni in Nottingham, like half the time you get, so what's the female to male ratio really like? So I guess that's something that we get quite a lot. But
that's from like data that's taken at the time of the Second World War. So
was it?
Maybe it is like 5-to-1 men to women, but they're all about 80 years old by now.
If that's your type.
Well, that's interesting, because someone else has talked about that, and they said like 3-to-1 or something, but that's the first time I've heard where the data came from. So if you say it possibly came from the Second World War, that's interesting.
And also, it was from the Second World War. That's to be expected, because a lot of men were, you know, off fighting in the war and possibly didn't come back. So it's probably a similar statistic for elsewhere as well.
And Nottingham and Chilwell were quite a big producer of armaments and ammunition, so there was a lot of women working in the factories back then. That's quite interesting. Okay, what's your most favourite part of Notts or Nottinghamshire?
We like Lenton, so obviously that's
where we've been living.
That's where we lived when we were students.
It's a bit controversial, isn't it?
It's disgusting, and a lot of robberies happen.
Yeah.
But it's, you know, it's the only place I've ever lived where pretty much all my pals have been within 10-minute walk. So can't really argue with that.
Did you stay in one of the student complexes, or
just
was it in
one
a
of the
house?
houses?
Oh, right.
I like Attenborough Nature Reserve.
Yeah.
That's good fun.
I've got a friend that goes there quite often with his camera.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, there's some good birds around there.
Yeah.
Like, not talking about the ratios.
I was going to say.
It's good, like ducks and swans, etc.
Yeah. Because it used to be an old quarry or something like that, didn't it? So, and I think last time I went there, I did see a boat hauling off rubble as well, so I think there's still a bit there.
They're still active. That's one of my favourite parts of Nottinghamshire.
There's something sort of oddly creepy, but like slightly drawn to all the stuffed animals in Willerton.
Oh, right.
And I hate the idea of stuffed animals. It's that kind of thing where you hate it, but you can't look away, and there's just something like, I don't know, when you're just looking into those sort of beady glass eyes, and it's just the animals.
Wow. I've forgotten they were even in there. You know, Willerton Hall has got a lot of background with obviously Batman and the deers there, but bloody hell, it's a museum there as well, isn't it?
Once you pass the gauntlet of the deers, there was somebody famously, I think, in my year, that got like speared by one of the deers.
Oh my god. They're terrifying.
What is it like, you know, Spanish?
Got gorged by one,
like bullfighting.
Yeah, properly charged down by this deer.
Do you think that was a myth, or do you think it
it did actually happen? I'm pretty sure that happened.
Cool.
Oh, I just love it all so much. I did go to Sherwood not too long ago. That was very, very lovely.
Is that as in Sherwood Forest and the Major Oak?
Is that even in Notts?
Yes.
Yes.
Stuff
Yes.
like
Yes. Yeah.
I thought it was like far away.
No, it's literally up in Edwinstowe. You go north, and it's a little bit before it becomes North Lincolnshire, I believe. So, because you've got Edwinstowe, you've got Tuxford, you've got Clipston, Ollerton. There's quite a lot around that area. Wellow, where they've got a music festival that happens each year. Yeah. So that'd be something worth your band looking into.
Yeah, what's the festival?
It's called Wellow Music Festival. It's a countryside town that puts on a music festival each year, and they like alternative bands there.
Band manager Sam will get on it.
Yeah,
definitely.
So cool. Okay, a person gets off a train or bus, checks into their hotel, goes straight to the bar that you're sat at having a pint, and says to you guys, where is the one place you recommend I check out next?
That's tricky. There's too many pubs in Nottingham to even.
It doesn't even have to be a pub, does it?
Yeah, all the salutation. There we go.
I think you sort of have to see the old trip to Jerusalem, just sort of like sort of to appreciate sort of how small everything is, and like I don't know.
Go and see.
Because you also see like a bit of the caves at the same time, and
go and see Saints Bay at Albert's.
Yeah, that's the answer. That's the answer.
That's cool. I like that one. Right. What is your most treasured musical objects? Doesn't have to be an instrument.
I mean, my drums are my baby, so I probably would just say
Your baby.
They are my baby.
I hate that saying. I'm just gonna lay this one out here. I actually haven't talked about this before, but when someone says a project or something is their baby, I'm like, no, a baby is not an inanimate object. I know the relationship behind saying the phrase.
Don't get me wrong, if I had a baby, I probably wouldn't say it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously I don't mean it literally in that sense, but yeah, it is something that, I cherish very much, I guess.
And what is your drum kit?
What,
Make, model?
It's a Mapex M kit.
Oh, right.
I got it quite a few years ago now, second hand from someone. It was originally I'd had like electronic kits, hadn't really got on very well with them, but when I'd gotten sort of this kit, it's that's when I probably sort of started falling in love with drumming. So I think that's where sort of the old relationship with them goes, and
cool.
and just sort of trying different things out with it here and there, but I've always kept with it, and it's done a good job so far.
So you didn't start out on pots and pans?
Not quite, no. Although the electronic kit I did have might as well have been pots and pans.
Fair enough.
I'd have to say, my laptop hard drive, I think, purely just because of the amount of music crap.
Sorry,
not quite the direction I was going in. No, just sort of the hours of sort of music projects and stuff that was on there. Had a bit of a scare sort of back in May time. Funnily enough, at the same time I was writing my dissertation, my laptop bit the dust completely, everything. I literally had to pry it open, rip out the hard drive, and thankfully everything was still there, as silly me hadn't backed up any of these sort of thousands of hours of music and recordings and stuff that I had on there. So that is my musical treasure, because it's just sort of, for me, it's my
your baby.
It's my record. I would not say it's my baby.
It's your record, isn't it?
It's my record of sort of everything I've done over the past few, ever since I've sort of gotten into recording what I'm doing. It's sort of all of that.
I completely understand the horror of what you went through.
Yeah.
I sat in here and I recorded Karina Share from Ragebreed, and what I'll do once I've finished recording is I'll take that recording and I'll transfer it to my remote hard drive, solid state hard drive.
Yep.
So I'll leave it on the laptop, I'll leave it on the hard drive, and the one day that I said, do you know what, it's too hot, I'm going to go home and I'm going to transfer it at home, and I didn't. And I woke up the next day, opened up the laptop to do some emails, and the solid state drive just went. And it cost me £70 to get the recording of the podcast back. And I lost, because I record 2 mics.
Yeah.
So I do 4 files, which is the first half, 1 mic and the other mic, the second half, 1 mic, the other mic. And I lost 1/2 of my voice. I managed to just kind of make it sound all right, but hence why the portable recording device is on the table as well. As I said, new MacBook. It's not bad. But I understand that. Sorry, anyway, we're waffling.
Mine is a pick. It's a wooden pick that I got gifted by my girlfriend a couple of years ago.
Oh, right.
I don't play with it much. Because I don't want to wear it down, and also it's a bit too thick for me.
Yeah.
But it's engraved, and it's like mahogany, I think, which apparently makes guitars sound very good.
Can do.
And it does sound really good, especially when I play it on an acoustic guitar. So I've got it in a little box. I look after that, and it's very precious to me.
Cool.
So channeling Gollum a bit there.
No, that's... guitar picks are brilliant things because you can pick them up from like quite a lot of places. The only place that you can't pick up a guitar pick is when it falls out your hand and you look on the floor and the thing's just disappeared into the void.
It just goes to a different dimension.
Rooms just swallow up guitar picks.
Yeah.
So that's another thing actually that I'm very grateful for is my pick holder that's stuck to the back of my guitar.
Oh, right.
Because when a pick flies out of my hands, I can then just get another one out.
Pull another one off.
Which is, invaluable because picks do tend to fly out on my hands.
Yeah.
I get the same thing with sticks. So, well, that's more destructive.
Snapping them.
You can get one of those fellas that goes on your back and just
Yeah.
A bit like Robin Hood.
Yeah.
Just pulls out an arrow.
Another stick from the quiver.
Yeah, I need a drumstick quiver. There we go.
Or, even better,
quite
you
a
could dress up like Deadpool and have 2 sticks sticking out the top. No, that's
we do
quite
that.
sad.
You can't tempt us with that. There's not enough time to sort it for this evening.
Next time.
Cool. Right. Do you want to name your most influential band or artist that's most helped you as musicians become the band you are today?
I think for us, because we all have our own we have a big variety of different influences that have been major for us as people, and then we've sort of brought those to the table and then mishmashed them together. So I wouldn't say as a band we have 1 or 2 artists that we say, those are the guys that we're trying to emulate or anything.
Yeah.
It's more we have our own individual influences.
And yours is?
So for me, it's like Muse, Spiffy Clyro, Royal Blood I'm really into. So I guess that kind of thing is where I go to,
Cool.
Muse especially.
Yeah, completely left field of that. So sort of James Jameson, the bass player, played on all sort of the Motown hits.
Oh, right.
Sort of for me, that's sort of the pinnacle in terms of bass playing, like sort of in serving the song and sort of doing. It's sort of being slightly melodic, but at the same time not getting in the way of things. For me, that's sort of like kind of a nice ethos to kind of take into the band. You're not getting in the way of other people, but you're trying to kind of help elevate things as much as you can.
But it's a rhythm section playing bass, isn't it? So
and it's the same thing with drums, really.
Yeah.
Sort of trying to do as much as you can without it, like to improve the song rather than trying to show off yourself.
The vocalist that I wish I could sound like is Sam Cooke.
Oh.
He's to me one of the better singers of the last 100 years or so. He's got a very smooth kind of voice that's just easy to listen to. And Paul Simon falls into that category as well. And songwriting wise, I think he tells an amazing story.
Paul Simon, honestly, hand on heart, is one of my most favourite musicians.
He's amazing, isn't he?
Like, I love that whole thing about the Call Me Al music video, because everybody thought the guy from National Lampoons was Paul Simon because he was sat there miming it badly, but no one really took note that he was miming it badly and that Paul Simon was coming in and out. They wondered who the hell that guy was.
It's that Chevy Chase, isn't it?
Yeah, Chevy Chase.
My girlfriend keeps telling me to
What a
watch that
man.
video. I've not watched it yet. But
Oh, you should do.
yeah, I mean that Graceland album is up there with my favourite albums of all time. I think he did something so quite different to what everyone else was doing at the time, which was good. Graceland's a great song.
Got the vinyl for that framed up in our house.
Have
So,
you?
yeah.
Wow.
I've got the vinyl for it, but I listen to it, so I can't frame it.
Oh, it's just a sleeve.
Seeing as you've just touched on that as well, are you guys more physical copies or streaming and MP3s?
I've got to listen to something first before I'll consider buying it on vinyl.
Oh, right.
So, and also, I mean, I don't think I've bought a new thing for a record. It's lovely to have a physical copy of your favourite albums.
Yeah.
But a new release by a band, you're not going to spend 20 quid on that when you can listen to it on Spotify. Unless
Fair
you know
enough.
you really, really like it, I think.
Yeah, I think
Via record collection's more personal, and the songs you like to listen to are more sort of temporal. Like, it doesn't not necessarily going to be the sort of thing you would love to listen to in 6 months' time. So they're both good for a different purpose.
Yeah, I think if you're going to buy a physical album, it has to really be sort of a great album that you are going to listen to front to back.
Yeah.
And with a lot of stuff nowadays, it is being sort of targeted more at singles, streaming, and sort of easily digestible stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, a bit of both, really.
There's something to be said for having a piece of physical, it's art, isn't it? The cover and what have you, and then you take it out and you feel it and you listen to it in the order that they intended, and you have to interact with it halfway through. That just means you're much more, you know the album much better. But then at the same time, there's something to be said for, you can't listen to a record when you're out on a run, can you? So it's not
that's true. And yourself?
Yeah, so I mean, I've always been someone who, I've always been like an album listener, as Dan knows to his detriment on certain car journeys. Like, I'm the kind of guy that wants to listen to it front and back because I feel as though that's how the album has been designed, has been made.
Yeah.
It's sort of slightly different now, but sort of obviously during my time in uni, I basically couldn't afford to be buying, every album that I wanted, and also, again, if you want to listen to just specific singles, or you want to get a taste of a band before you properly dedicate to them, I think that's when streaming's come into it quite easy. And for us as well, it's much easier for us to get our music on Spotify, on Deezer, on Tidal, on Apple Music, and all the others than it is to actually get those physical copies out there. And it's much easier to advertise ourselves through Spotify. But yeah, I think in terms of, as these guys have said, for those great albums, it's very nice to have that physical copy that you've got there.
Yeah. I'm very much a CD person, and I love my CDs. I've almost got a couple, 1,000 odd, and the one thing I haven't got is a CD player at the moment, and I've said this over and over, and I'm going to really buy one. I looked at one on eBay and I went, right, I'm going to buy one. It's going to go in my rack in the studio, and I literally can go in the studio, not turn my Mac on, and literally just plug in a CD, stick it through the desk into me high quality speakers, and just listen to music the way it should be intended to. But as I said, I don't have a CD player, which is such... Do you know what? They're 30 bloody... I'm just going to buy one. Right, I'm going to do this today.
I think one thing sort of that I've also found with streaming services, they actually... I don't know the exact science of it or whatever, but they actually... they prefer is it 16-bit rather than 24-bit playthroughs?
Well, because they do have to compress.
Yeah, so with these streaming services, it's more compressed. Whether the CD, that might not be such an issue. You do sort of get, I guess, a purer sound.
I can help you with that.
Can you?
I can tell you right now. They prefer, it's not so much the bit, but what they prefer is the loudness.
Okay.
If you aim for about 16, 14 dBFS, minus 16, 14 dBFS, gives you enough headroom for you not to be too loud or too quiet. Because either way, you're either going to be really quiet or they'll turn it up, or you're going to be too loud, they'll turn it down. Now, there's a plugin, I can't remember, what's it called? My head's gone now. But anyway, I use Harrison Mixbus for all my podcasts, and they're all round about minus 14 dBFS because it gives me a little meter. So I did struggle a little while because I went over to a different door, and my voice when I do the voiceovers was really quiet, and when I did the podcasts, when I did the chats and I did the music, it was really loud. So that's what they're looking for, not so much the bit depth or your frame rate or anything like that. It's literally how loud it is. Now, what I really love doing in this podcast is you were worried about being too quiet or being too loud. I've just moved the microphone slightly. But I don't know if anyone's really noticed so much, or even if anyone's brought my podcasts up on Audacity or something like that. It's dynamic. You get the quiet parts, you get the loud parts, but there's kind of an overall consistency. So, and that's what I love about people sending me music, especially your music. I loved it because it was very dynamic. Most people, you just see this big block of sound, and all of it hitting clip and red, and yours wasn't, and it was nice not to have to turn something down.
Yeah,
It's the loudness war thing.
Yeah.
I think we have to give a shout out to Phil.
So Phil Booth, who we recorded with those two tracks that JT saw, is just a god amongst men.
Yeah.
And
He made our songs a lot better.
Yes.
Send him an email and tell him to get on this podcast.
Oh,
All he has to do is email me.
Well
and
away
then-
with that.
He's got a lot to chat about.
Yeah, I'd love to.
But
I've heard of JT Saw, so that'd be something interesting.
He did brilliantly, and like with Pier 39, the version you heard there is partly something that he's helped us work on as well.
Yeah.
Because originally it was very much just a song that was verse, chorus, solo, chorus.
Yeah.
Whereas because with him we were able to sort of just give it those little extra finer details that really helped it to become a song we're very happy with.
Good. As I say, I'm going to have to re-listen to it when I get home. I've listened to it once, and as much as I've got so much time where I could listen to music, I listen to podcasts trying to improve what I'm doing, and just...
It's like homework.
Yeah, it is. So, and I make cables during the day, so it's like, fuck. My life is just music. Right, moving on. Name what you're excited about in the upcoming 6 months.
Well, we're excited for our gig tonight.
Yeah.
First and foremost. Getting a bit more writing done. That's what I'm excited about. Because it's got to the point where you sort of have to sit down and go, right, I'm going to write a song now.
Yeah.
Rather than just being able to play around for a bit and come up with something. But
I think we're quite fortunate that we do have multiple sources of creativity, and everyone can provide something. We're not sort of solely reliant on one person to come in with something.
Yeah.
Work with that, we're all quite happy to kind of work with each other's ideas. So it's sort of more of a case of, right, we've got to get in a room, sit down, decide what we are going to do, what stuff we're not going to do, and that's sort of the hard part of it. But
And I think
it's exciting part.
and as we've said previously, we've got this like half an hour set. We can move songs about a little bit, but we've basically got our 7 songs that we know that we can do, and it's almost one of those where we want to have new songs that we can either add to it, or we can have that sort of beautiful, difficult problem of, okay, which songs are we going to swap out for it? It's like when you get a football team where you've got too many players that are in form, and so you're having to, that really horrible problem in inverted commas of having to decide who's going to be in the team. It's the same thing that we quite like to have with our set lists.
You want competition between songs almost. Be like, you want it to be like really difficult to choose between two instead of it just being, here are our songs for tonight kind of thing.
Yeah.
So have you got a full album out at the moment?
No, we don't. The only 2 songs that we've fully released are Everything and Pier 39.
Yeah.
We've got...
And I'm going to stick a link in the show notes for people to go back to the previous... To be honest, I'll just probably play the songs in this podcast.
Yeah.
I know I played them before, but I'm probably going to play them again, just so people can hear what you guys sound like.
And we've got 5 other tracks which we're happy with, but we're not 100% sure if we're going to record them at the moment or whatever, or if we want to write something new for it or whatever like that.
We've got one song that we can pretty much only play live because it's like 5 minutes long.
5 minutes?
5 minutes.
6.5 minutes.
It's over 5 minutes long.
On a quick day, it's
and
6.5.
these 2 songs are sort of the classic 2.5 minutes radio time, and they took us 2 days to record. We only just about got them finished. Don't know what's going to go on with that one.
But it's our set ender that's the one that's 6 minutes long, and so. And there are a couple of others that
it's good though. It's a good song. It's just long.
It's a live song. If you know what I mean.
Our absent guitarist gets to be a bit self-indulgent.
Cool.
Gets a bit of dadgad tuning and. It basically has.
We let him have his moment.
He gets at least 2 solos, I think, during it. It's
cool.
It's bombastic.
I still don't know the words.
One of the podcasts that I listened to, and I can't remember which one it was, but he was talking to Sylvia Massey, and I don't know if you know who she is, but she's the engineer and producer of Tool.
Oh, okay.
Now, I don't even want to go into the latest Tool album, only simply because I haven't listened to it yet. But the amount of feedback I'm getting from people is very different. But
I was disappointed. That's all I'm saying.
Didn't they have to do something very strange to promote that album?
they finally put all their stuff on streaming services.
Just snap that in.
Yeah.
But this is something that she said was if a band comes to her and wants her to record them and produce them, and they turn up with 10 songs, she says, no, go away.
Yeah.
Come back with 30. And I love that. I really love that, because if you write 30 songs, even if they're just off the back of a fag paper and you've recorded it once, it might have that little bit of something that really makes your band shine. And I like the way that you're saying that you have certain songs that you can only play live.
Yes.
So think about writing 30 songs for your next album, because you'll only put 10 of them out.
It'd be the first 10 as well, wouldn't it?
Right. I'm going to ask you the last question, because I know you've got a gig coming up and you need to go and get ready for it.
Yeah.
In your opinion, if you believe it, what makes the Notts alternative scene great?
I think it sort of goes back to what we've been saying in general, is just the sheer variety of it. There is just something for everyone in the scene. It doesn't really matter what it is specifically that you're into. You'll be able to find something in Nottingham that you're into. And I think that's quite a beautiful and almost unique thing in a way, because I feel as though, especially for sort of cities the size of Nottingham, you're not going to get that many other places.
No.
Yeah. I think there are also just sort of a lot of opportunities, and it's sort of it's kind of scene that seems to sort of take care of everyone within it, as in it's very active in sort of promoting itself and sort of
There's so many people having a go. There's so many people who are trying to promote shows, and if you play a gig with someone and they go on to play another gig, the support drops out, they'll think of you and they'll say, oh, do you guys fancy playing? So it's a supportive scene. It's not like, from our experience of it, it's not been like a completely like, oh, our band's better than that band, we should be headlining because we're better, we're getting that kind of thing. Doesn't seem to be so much of the competitiveness that you might expect from musicians, because as a whole, as a group, musicians are quite bitchy. I say that as a musician.
Well, I think that's just life at the moment. Since the internet has become this big monstrosity that it is, everyone's got an opinion. Hence why the 2 rules: no Brexit, no politics on this podcast.
Thank God for that.
Because I don't want to bloody deal with it. I'm just about dealing with all the artists. No, I like that, and I like that a lot. That was something that I've talked to a lot of people, and I've seen it firsthand quite a lot, is if you're at a gig as a band and something breaks or you forget something, you ask the other bands. You'll occasionally get this 1 or 2 people that will go, I won't let you touch my stuff. But you'll always find someone that will go, I've got one.
It happened on
our very first gig outside of uni. My guitar broke. So I had to borrow someone's guitar.
Wow.
So that's not exactly
Which one was that?
That was
not Hockley Hustle.
Was it?
No, it was Hockley Hustle. Yeah, Hockley Hustle.
We played. It was our first proper gig. And you'll see it there. It's super glued together on my guitar. The input.
I'm not surprised if you ain't got a case.
This is my first outing.
You used to have a case.
But the input jack's just fallen through. It's a hollow body guitar, and the wood's just cracked basically. So couldn't plug it in. So I asked the band that were on before, can I borrow your guitar? And he said and it was a really nice guitar. It was like a blue Strat. Amazing to play. Didn't want to give it back. But
I'll take this home with me.
It's not a big. It's not a small thing, is it? Lending someone a guitar.
No, it's not. I was talking to another band and saying how instruments are so personal. They really are. The fact that was able to happen and we were able to do the gig was just really good. It's a good first impression of the Notts scene, isn't it?
And I think it's not just the bands, but like some of the venues as well. So I think there have been quite a few times where we played the Chameleon quite a few times now, and I think it's got to the point where they actually have said to artists that are coming there, would you like to give these guys a listen to, or these guys a listen to try and for possible supports. At least that's how it's felt anyway. And so again, venues are like a big part of it as well, I think, as well as just the artists.
Just generally positive scene. It's not cutthroat.
Yeah.
I like that, and especially as you guys are not originally from Notts, and
Yes.
and like you said, you want to try and make it back here. I hope you succeed in that, because I must think this city and this scene is good, or else I wouldn't have just spent the past year doing this.
Yeah.
And it's hence why I'm glad when people reach out with their music like you did. And how easy is it to get a song on NottsRockCast? What did you do?
I emailed you and you said, okay.
It's as easy as that, isn't it? So, and now you're here chatting, and
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I've just found, so it's one of the good things, I guess, about the internet age with your social medias and all that. You can go on Facebook, you can like a page, and it comes up with 10 other pages that you might like, which could also do the same thing for you. And then you could go through all of that and just email everyone and annoy so many people and nag them constantly. But yeah, and just trying to get yourself out there, I guess.
Cool. Right, I'd like to give you the final word before we bring this to a close. So is there anything else you'd like to say, or a shout out you'd like to give to someone?
I mean, we might as well plug our social medias.
Tell us where we can find
Facebook,
you.
Twitter, Instagram and Spotify. If you search at Saints Bay UK, you should be able to find us on just about everything. We've got Pier 39 and Everything are our 2 singles that are currently available for streaming on all services, Spotify, Apple Music, all the others. Not iTunes though, because that's cancelling or whatever's going on with that.
Well, you can't do it anymore. Can you?
No.
It's gone.
It's the only thing we ever made any money off, isn't it? We've got like
Pretty much, yeah.
£2
What's going on with iTunes?
Yeah,
They don't do it anymore.
Yeah, it's gone.
It's all like Apple Music
It's
now.
been,
All right, how do you get an Apple Music then?
subscription.
Yeah, shout out to iTunes.
Yeah, we will miss you. You were a good guy.
Gone but not
See, now
forgotten.
I'm confused. I'm going to have to double check my podcast is still coming out. Oh, God. People can't get hold of it. I'm going to be... Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think they've
No,
transferred.
it's still.
I think it's dying.
It still exists, but iTunes doesn't exist as like an independent.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's
all Apple
It's
Music
now like
now.
a subsection of Apple Music.
You scared the living shit out of me, dude.
It's what I live for.
Brilliant.
So again, big shout out to Phil Booth, who we recorded those 2 tracks with at JT Saw. Go and check him out. He's bloody fantastic and a lovely bloke.
And shout out, of course, to NottsRockCast for having us on.
Oh, thank you.
And a shout out for Roo, who's hopefully finished his...
He's definitely doing his course.
Yeah, definitely doing his course.
Definitely not masturbating or having a quick nap.
Oh, brilliant.
I'm sure we'll thank us later.
We love you, Roo. Hey, I'm like having to sleep on his floor for the last 2 days, so...
Oh, good luck.
Sticky floor.
Just a bit.
Thank you very much, guys, for today. This has been absolutely...
No, thank you very much for having us.
An absolute laugh. Go and check out their music. It's in the show notes, and I'll post which podcasts I put the music on. And hopefully, if I'm feeling generous enough, what you'll hear next is their song Pier 39, because I do remember really enjoying that. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Notts Rockers, for listening to NottsRockCast over YouTube. If you would like to check us out on your favourite podcast player, please search NottsRockCast. And don't forget, if you're on social media platforms, give us a like, give us a share. You'll find us at NottsRockCast. Anyway, till next time, keep it Notts, keep it rocks.
NottsRockCast is an association with Regular Riot. Welcome to NottsRockCast, the Notts Alternative Scene podcast. And here is your host, Jethro D, bringing you everything Notts and Rock.